The exhibition, Unconstrained Textiles, Stitching Methods Crossing Ideas, proposes an alternative way of learning about textiles and art in the form of an open-ended metaphorical patchwork. It aims to present a broader possibility of textile materials, subject matters, and techniques through the diverse practices by 7 prominent contemporary artists. These artists do not identify as textile artists. Rather, they discover textile materials, subject matters, and techniques almost unexpectedly through their artistic experiments, interweaving them into their respective artistic concerns and goals. Let's start exploring what it is about textiles that inspired the artists and how the artists express their imagination and creative ideas with textile techniques and materials. This is a series of videos made by Kawita Fatanayankar, whose recent interest is the exploitation of industrial labor and global consumerism. In her videos, she uses her body as mechanical tools and reenacts the burdens or repetitive movements of industrial machines, which often force laborers' bodies to become a part of the industrial process. In the 6 video works at the arcade, she mimics with her own body the machinery movements of different textile production processes, such as weaving, knitting, dyeing, reeling, and printing. Her intentional application of vibrant colors in the videos renders them more seductive and attractive to viewers, and evokes the viewer's desire in the same way that fashion advertisements do. This hanging piece is entitled A Stitch in Time. Made by David Medalla, A Stitch in Time is an ongoing project piece. Its first edition was made in London in 1968, and it has since been realized in multiple exhibitions in different cities. The work was conceived to capture the ephemeral states of things with the audience's contribution, as they are invited to embroider or stitch their small belongings onto the hanging canvas. Over the course of the exhibition period, the work changes in appearance with visitors' participation and eventually transforms into a record of the time of the period of display. This work was installed when COVID-19 hit the city of Hong Kong, before subsequently becoming a global pandemic. This exhibition had to close for 7 weeks due to government regulations and in keeping with social distancing policy. During the closure of the gallery, we opened call for people to send us images of items via email or Instagram. The images were then printed and stitched onto the work by our team. Since the reopening of chat from 8th of May, 2020, visitors to the gallery could participate in A Stitch in Time in person again. The stitches and embroideries have left traces of this historical moment on the canvas, thus making this work a very unique piece. In this gallery, you will first be greeted by a series of embroidery pieces conceived by Ham Kyung-ah. At first glance, you may think that they are a collection of colorful paintings. In stepping closer to the work, however, you will find that they are not paintings, but very fine hand embroidery. Ham is acclaimed for her insightful works interrogating the subject of power structure and its distorted and imbalanced aspects in reality. The production behind most of her works requires a complicated and patient process, which includes research, seeking collaborators, and gaining their trust to take risks in accomplishing her artworks. Ham's ongoing embroidery project, titled SMS Series in Camouflage, initiated in 2008 and was inspired by her discovery of a North Korean propaganda flyer that was blown to her parents' house. This SMS series in camouflage is realized as her attempt to communicate privately with the people of North Korea. In her practice, Ham uses intermediaries to send visual instructions of her work to anonymous embroidery artisans. Throughout the lengthy and exhausting process, which involves bribery, smuggling, misunderstanding, and waiting, the fine embroidery works made by the hands of the North Korean artisans are eventually delivered to the artist. These dazzling and perhaps psychedelic images of the works metaphorically speak not only about the disrupted communication and unpredictable future between North and South Korea, but also the common anxieties triggered by our communication system, which is often censored, monitored, and manipulated. The next room houses Bi Rongrong's immersive experimental installation, consisting of videos and various textiles with adapted patterns created by the artist. In her practice, Bi collects decorative patterns from architectural elements, such as facades, tiles, and metal gates in cities where she visited, and remixes these collected patterns and translates them into different visual languages of textiles, paintings, animations, and installations. In this gallery, Bi presents her various adaptations of patterns in the form of videos, carpets, knitting pieces, and a mural. Partially covered with and surrounded by patterns, the gallery provides an immersive experience for visitors. To realize her knitting pieces, Bi collaborated with and asked for technical help from textile experts and used digital technologies to execute her pieces. For her smaller knitting pieces, she asked a knitting specialist to derive a structural drawing from her initial drawing. A knitting machine was then used to decode the structural drawing to present the final pattern. The mural and carpets occupy a large part of the interior space and play an important role in achieving a holistic consistency in the gallery. Here, a hanging crochet piece is interwoven with LED lights, thus emitting light in the crochet patterns. We now enter the room occupied by Kato Itsumi's works. Kato has made 11 new works for the exhibition, and 6 of them are installed in this room. Learning about the nature of different materials, Kato adapts their characteristics into his paintings. His playful use of fabrics and his way of displaying his paintings diverge from the traditional Western idea of a two-dimensional painting of stretched canvas. For his new paintings, Kato sourced materials from the local textile market in Hong Kong. Utilizing the patterned textiles, Kato painted on them, then combined them with different patterns and textures, utilizing textiles' flexibility to manipulate form, shape, and scale. Elsewhere in the space is Spinner, a series of 6 small paintings of his earlier work. In this work, 3 paintings depict heads, which are connected by extended thread-like hands, evoking the way yarn is spun and rolled into balls. Kato has also presented 3 large paintings hanging in the Hall of the Mills, and installed 5 new stone figures to create a unique artistic garden at the Park of the Mills. Each of these figures comprise of a painted stone head and a body made from living plants. To realize this installation, Hong Kong's local farmers collaborated with Kato to make the bodies out of the plants. As time passes by, the plants will continue to grow, and the body shapes of the figures will change accordingly. The body of the central figure is made with indigo plant, which will be harvested and fermented into indigo dye in the future. Here, we see the works by Byron Kim along these walls. Kim is known for his series of conceptual, minimal paintings, which are based on his observation of the details in everyday surroundings. The 13 paintings on the wall appear to be abstract paintings of blurred colors from afar. However, they in fact represent bruises on human flesh. Kim has been developing this series of bruise paintings since 2016, initially inspired by Carl Phillips's poem, Alba, Innocence, in which Phillips portrays the contemplation of a bruise on a lover's flesh, associating it with the memory of the time spent with the partner. To depict different skin tones and the subtle nuances of bruises, Kim dyed the canvas or linen fabrics with colors extracted from natural ingredients, then stretched them onto frames. In this exhibition, this dark room has been transformed into a temporary theater constructed with colorful fabrics, where Samson Young's video work, The Immortals, is played. The video consists of edited documentary footages of Young's performance piece, The Immortals, which was made in 2019 for Performa, the International Performance Festival in New York.
The donkey sings, birthday of a fool, the show tune must fit her tone. You think I'm complacent, immortal's a waffle sometime, word painting, myth making, platinum birthday, splendid animal,
Drawing inspiration from the popular Chinese folklore of the 8 Immortals, Young revised the roles of its characters into artistic gestures to critically reflect the power structure of contemporary society, interweaving music and lyrics into the performance. For this performance, the costumes were designed by the artist and presented so as to visually speak about the identity of each role, as well as the setting of the play. By applying the same fabrics to the surface of the temporary theater, the whole video installation achieves a consistent aesthetic tone, which draws the audience into the world of the contemporary legend of the 8 Immortals as composed by the artist. The intention of Unconstrained Textiles, stitching methods, crossing ideas, is to propose room for new ways of thinking about textiles through their unexpected application by contemporary artists. The exhibited works lead us to acknowledge the contributions of textiles in crystallizing artistic imagination. In creating new forms, shapes, colors, and textures, textiles have played a significant role in artistic development and have unconstrained possibilities to continue to inspire artists in the years to come.